let's return now to those wide-ranging calls for a royal commission into the massacre at Bondi. Marnie Perlstein is a passionate member of the Sydney Jewish community and has been a fierce advocate against anti-Semitism since the attacks on October 7. And she joins me now. Marnie, so appreciate your time. Thank you. You have started a change.org petition calling for a royal commission. Last time I checked, it had over 5,000 signatures. Why do you feel so strongly about this?
Danica, thanks for having me. I feel that the deadliest terrorist attack on Australian soil warrants the very highest level of independent inquiry. And quite frankly, I think that to the families of the 15 people who died last week and to our entire Jewish community who has lived with untold horror for 2 years, it is the least that the Albanese government can do. The Richardson Review only really covers federal law enforcement and federal intelligence, and it leaves out many areas that need to be properly investigated to understand how we got to where we got to. It leaves out education and everything that's been happening at universities and schools. Qatari funding that has gone into universities in this country for decades, BDS counters that have been on every university campus spreading radical Islamic ideology through our education system. It leaves out the arts and the number of people who are losing jobs and who have been boycotted. It leaves out immigration and the ISIS brides who have just returned. The 3,000 Gazans who are allowed into this country with minimal security checks. It leaves out all of these things that need to be looked into and that our community needs answers to.
Look, I couldn't agree more, and I note that the Coalition released their draft terms of a Royal Commission, which did include the arts sector, included media, departmental reviews. It's meant to be, I mean, a Royal Commission is the highest level. It's meant to be the most wide-ranging. The Prime Minister was asked today, why won't you do it? He said it's because of the urgency, that his review is going to be quicker. Do you buy that, Marnie, or is he worried about what a Royal Commission might uncover?
I think he is clearly worried about what a Royal Commission might uncover, and he should be worried about what a Royal Commission would uncover after 2 years of inaction. After a year of having Gillian Siegel's recommendations on his desk and not taking up one of them, he should be incredibly worried about what the Royal Commission would uncover. And quite frankly, his talk about sort of rolling it into the New South Wales Royal Commission is insane. He needs to do a Commonwealth Royal Commission and uncover at federal level everything that has led up to this moment on his watch over the last 2 years.
Look, absolutely. And look, I would implore people to sign your petition, because it's very clear that the Prime Minister is hoping that this goes away. He's been missing in action for the last 7 days on it. It's not going to go away, Prime Minister. It's change.org. It's called Call for a Commonwealth Royal Commission into the Bondi Beach alleged terror attack. I would implore people to sign it, Marnie, and good on you for starting it. We've got the details there up on our screen. I've got to ask you, the Prime Minister today apologised to the Jewish community. You're a member of this community. Do you accept his apology?
I want to be a big person. I want to be like an Erica Kirk and accept people's apologies when they are kind and cognizant enough to issue one. But honestly, Danica, his apology does not bring back 15 dead Australians. His apology doesn't heal people who are still in hospital fighting for their lives. It doesn't help the families who have lost loved ones. And it doesn't put the anti-Semitism genie back into the bottle. And quite frankly, it doesn't make up for 2 years of complete inaction when there have been journalists like yourselves, politicians and advocates who have been screaming and yelling about this situation. We have named the problem. We have talked about radical Islamic ideology on our shores. And his apology really does not make up for any of that. And in terms of the petition, I appreciate you mentioning it so much, because the very reason that created the petition this morning was so that this problem doesn't go away and so that he's not able to issue an apology and just let Christmas and New Year come along and have this whole thing disappear. Because it's very easy to make an apology, but we are all, as a country, not just the Jewish community, we are hurting so much and we need to turn our pain into purpose. And the only way we can really do that is to get some very serious answers. So sorry is not going to cut it. It's just not.
No, look, I completely agree. I just want to very quickly ask you about former Treasurer Wayne Swan. He reposted this tweet on X today, which said, Jewish people boo Albo on arrival at Bondi Vigil, but they support Netanyahu, who allowed 1,200 Israelis to be slaughtered by Hamas, then murdered 70,000 innocent people in Gaza. It's beyond belief that such hypocrisy can become respectable. He's retweeted that. How tone deaf is that, Marnie?
It's offensive. There's 3 things I want to say about that. There's actually 6 things I could say, but I'm sure we don't have time. So I'll just say, firstly, does he realise that 3 hours before Anthony Albanese walked into that vigil for 15 murdered Australians, that Anthony Albanese had just announced the Richardson Review rather than the Commonwealth independent inquiry. So the timing of Anthony Albanese turning up to that event was also really tone deaf. The second thing I want to say to Wayne Swan is that there were 20,000 people at Bondi Beach last night. Not all of them were Jewish, and plenty of the people booing Anthony Albanese were not Jewish. The Australian public has had a gutful of these weekly protests, of our resources having to be spent on police surveillance of these protests, on social unrest that is just blown up. But the third thing I want to say is that there is another petition out there this week which is calling for Anthony Albanese to resign. And so far, 307,000 people have signed that petition. Danica, there are only 120,000 Jewish people in Australia. So this is not a matter of Jewish people booing and heckling our Prime Minister. We are now talking about a country that is feeling very angry with our current government, and Wayne Swan needs to take that into account before he criticises our community. In terms of Israel, the Netanyahu government has been completely held to account in that country. There were protests week after week for a year before the October 7 attacks. There is a full investigation happening into October 7. The Israelis are holding their Prime Minister to account, and we need to do the same with ours.
I'm with you all the way, Marnie. I think that is phenomenal. More than 300,000. And a reminder to our viewers: your petition, change.org, petition calling for Commonwealth Royal Commission into the Bondi Beach terror attacks. So important, and well done on all your advocacy. It's so important on this, Marnie. Thank you so much for joining me on the show. Really appreciate it.